Hey guys, so welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. It's great to see you all again. So we are here at the airport trying to make our way home. Before I get home, I figured I'd talk to you guys about a couple of things that have been on my mind, specifically towards money. Now I know it's been a while since we've been talking about money because we focused a lot on the tech and the engineering part, right? Making sure you get that shovel. So in this video, I want to talk to you about 3 mistakes that I made early on in my life that I hope that you can learn from, so that way you don't make the same mistake. So before we jump into what are those top 3 mistakes that I've made, make sure you go ahead and give me a like for the video. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to turn on your notifications so you're aware of when we upload to the channel. Remember, you don't want to miss out on what we got going on over here. Go ahead and share the video with a family member or friend, so that way they can learn a thing or two. All right guys, so let's jump into it. So mistake number 1 that I made early on in life is not budgeting. Now I know that's something that everyone talks about. Everyone always talks about budgeting, but it's so true. You have to learn how to budget. If you don't know how to budget, meaning simple thing is track expenses, track your income, be able to understand what fixed expenses are, be able to understand what variable expenses are. Those are just the basics. And if you can't do that, you're gonna get lost constantly. And if you get lost constantly, how do you know how to make any traction in life, right? And so this was something that I always struggled with, because when I started working at the age of 13, I would literally make all the money that I could make, and it was just to spend it on things that didn't matter. What are some of those things? Clothes. We all know that everyone goes for the Jordans, they go for the Nikes, they go for all those things that don't matter at all. Electronics. I was huge into electronics. I constantly bought all the latest gadgets. I bought all the latest cell phones that ever came out. And where are those cell phones that I bought back then? That's right, they're in the landfill somewhere, or recycled, who knows where they are. Point is it doesn't matter. So it's interesting because I coach a lot of people, right? And these people range from all ages, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and they all have the same problem, which is they don't know how to budget. And one of the first things that we do on our coaching calls is we make sure that we take a look at their budget, and if they don't have one, we create one, and we also teach them how to go through that process. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about those coaching sessions, go ahead and take a look at the description below. All right, so on to mistake number 2. And mistake number 2 ties into mistake number 1. Well, because I would not have a budget and I would blow all my money, I didn't really save or invest as much as I should have. Now, early on in life, you always want to be investing in yourself, and you always want to be investing into something. And I was very, very fortunate that I invested in my education, which has allowed me to generate the revenue that I generate today. But more importantly, I think I could have saved a little bit more, right? So I think I could have taken the excess cash that I was making with all the different things that I was doing, and I could have invested it into investment accounts, AKA saving. And I would have been much further ahead in life. Now, it's quite unfortunate because one of the things that I see as time goes on is most people take their cash and they buy a lot of stuff that they don't really need. So therefore, because they don't have a budget, and it ties back to number 1, they pretty much blow all their money and have nothing in order to invest. And because of that, they look up, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years later, and they wonder what they did with their time. They wonder what they did with their money. And it's quite a shame. I was very fortunate that even though I blew a lot of the money that I had early on, I mean, this was, you know, when I was 13 all the way to about 20, 21, 22, around there. So in that short time frame, even though I was blowing all my money and I didn't learn that lesson as quick as I should have, I was still very early on in life where I could recover and continue going forward. So make sure you don't fall into that mistake of blowing everything that you have and not saving and investing for the future. All right, guys, so working on our 3rd and last mistake. And this one is quite interesting because I didn't realize this until I panned out and I looked at the big picture. But the 3rd and final mistake is don't go into too much debt early on in life. So it's interesting because a lot of the things that you can do in life doesn't require a lot of resources in order to do it. Like for example, if you want to start a business, you can do that very inexpensively today. It wasn't as expensive as it used to be back in the day to start a business. Let's say you want to go to school, you want to go to college, and you want to invest in your education. Well, you can actually do that pretty cheaply today. I mean, you got community college, you got a lot of scholarships, you have all sorts of different programs that allow you to go to school and allow you to not take on so much debt early on. And as you all know, as part of my story, I graduated with a mortgage and student loans practically. So it took me a couple years to dig myself out of that stuff. And it was a big lesson for me because I didn't have to go into that much debt in order to get a degree or an education. All I needed to know was the information of how to get that done. There's so much resources out there now to show you how to go to college without racking up so much in student loans. And again, that's the beautiful thing of what we're doing right now is YouTube wasn't as prevalent back then, so you couldn't connect with all these content creators like myself that can tell you otherwise. So one of the things that I would encourage you all is when you are building yourself up, whether that's in your early 20s, whether that's in your 30s, 40s, doesn't matter what age, try to minimize those expenses because there are so many different ways of solving the problem and you don't have to constantly go ahead and put yourself in debt in order to solve a problem. You can easily tackle anything with just a few $1,000s. Let's say your living expenses are too expensive. You can room with somebody, you can stay with your parents, you can stay with family, right? These are the ways in which you start minimizing the cost. If you want to start a business, prove out your concept, take $1,000, take $1,500, maybe $2,000, prove out the concept. See how you can deliver the product or service in a very primitive way to prove that it works. And if it does work, start taking the profits that you start generating and reinvesting it back into the business in order to grow. As we talked about in my case, where I went to college and I wanted to learn something, go after those scholarships, go after the community college, and then transfer to a 4-year university. Stay in state. Heck, you can even, if you even wanted to, land a position in a company. It might not be the ideal position that you want, but land a position in the company so you can utilize their benefits in order to go back to school on their dime. And of course, you want to pick a career that will generate the revenue that you are looking for. So real quick off the bat, those are some simple ways in order for you to not spend so much money and put yourself so deeply in debt that it takes you so long to get out of it. So anyways, guys, those were my top 3 mistakes that I made early on in life. Hopefully you learned something out of it. My hopes is that you're seeing this and you're taking the information and you apply it to your life so you don't make the same mistake, and that way you can continue much faster, much further than I was able to do. So again, if you like the video, guys, give me a like for the video. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and also as well turn on your notification so that way you're notified when we upload to the channel, and share the video with a family member or friend so that way they can learn about the top 3 mistakes that I've made so that way they don't make it as well. So anyways, guys, I gotta head back. I gotta prepare for the next trip, but I will see everyone in the next video.